Hey everybody, this is Doomhammer with a new type of video, and this is going to be a pick'em video. So I'm going to go over the Week 3 matchup previews for all of the Week 3 games, and feel free to comment in the chat who you think is going to come away with the victory, and see if you can guess how these games are going to turn out. So the first game is Thursday Night Football is the New York Jets versus the Indianapolis Colts. So here we have the Jets are ahead in the offense and defense. They got the edge at quarterback with Geno Smith over Drew Brees. Not Geno Smith, excuse me. Alex Smith over Drew Brees. Then they've got McCoy. I guess it looks like running backs are about, I don't think they're giving advantage to anybody. But receivers of the Colts, O-line, D-line, linebacker, and defensive back all going into the favor of the Jets. And then you've got the kicker and the punter going into the favor of the Colts. Injuries like Britton, Williams, and Jones. So two defensive tackles and a left tackle for the Colts out. Going back to the two teams that are 2-0. So we got the number 7 versus the number 6 ranked team. Mariota versus Rodgers. Somehow Rodgers is not an advantage apparently. But we have offense going to the Bills somehow. But I guess the Titans do have a lack of talent. They just have Aaron Rodgers, a 96 overall quarterback, on their side. So we see a draw here with running back and wide receiver. Not much of a gap there. Then we see O-line going in favor for the Bills. D-line favor for the Titans. The defensive backs also for the Titans. And the linebackers for the Bills. Kicker punter going in favor of the Titans. Injury with Buchanan for the Titans. Then we got the 1-1 Lions versus the 1-1 Patriots. Looks like it's a draw on defense, and then an advantage to the Patriots on offense. The 17th versus the 21st ranked team. And then the Patriots are favored for the wide receiver and O-line. They're also favored for linebacker, defensive back, and kicker. And then the Lions have the D-line advantage, along with the punter. The Patriots have Gotsis and Ehinger out. And then their left tackle, Smith. Which Jones is that? Oh, not showing me. Okay, and then Martin. So they lose both their tackles for this game and defensive tackle. Then we got the Ravens taking on the Commanders, and there we have the Commanders with an edge over them with offense and defense. Quarterback seems to be a draw because neither one of them is that great. Geno Smith versus Garrett Gilbert. Running back, neither is that great. I would say that the Donald Brown and Elliott would be better than Yeldon and Alfred Morris. But then the advantage goes to the the receiving core for the Commanders and the linebacking core for the Commanders. The offensive line advantage somehow is the Ravens, along with the kicker, Gould. Whereas the Commanders do have linebacker. Injuries, we see Jaquise Rogers, the running back, and Gomes there out for the Commanders. Then we've got the Rams with a 14.5 spread over the Eagles. Rams, defending Super Bowl champions, 2-0 over the Eagles, 0-2. I think Andrew Luck is definitely the advantage. I don't know why they're not giving a green arrow for Luck over Bridgewater. But offense and defense are favored for the Rams. Also, the wide receiver core, D-line, defensive back, kicker, and punter all favor the Rams, whereas the Eagles seem to have the edge on the O-line and the linebacking core. So we see injuries for the Eagles. They've got Stephon Gilmore, Reggie McNeil, Ingram the third, their receiver Gibbons and Watson all injured for this game. Not great for the Eagles, missing some of those key players against a tough matchup. Then you got the Miami Dolphins, number 11 versus number 25. Offense and defense favor the Dolphins. They also have the quarterback favorability. And I wonder if it's more about stats than it is about overall. That's probably the more stats that get developed throughout the season, the more they give arrows. But anyway, running backs is a draw between... Yeah, that's not a draw. Bradshaw's definitely the better running back. The Dolphins did make a trade. They acquired a Nile Davis from the 49ers. So they did get themselves an 80 overall running back. But we have wide receiving core with Calvin Johnson Jr., Deshaun Jackson, A.J. Jenkins, and Eifert. Definitely a superior receiving core. They also have the defensive back core that is 380 plus. And then they also have the punter apparently. And then you have the Broncos with the advantage at O-line, D-line, and linebacker and kicker. They're losing Graham, and then they're losing, they have David Johnson for the rest of the season. Then we got the Chargers versus the Browns. So Goff versus Pryor. So right now, Pryor is definitely performing as a better quarterback. He's an 87 overall. When we look at the last two games, let's do season here. So 2026, he's got 398 yards, and it's not showing any of his rushing yards, though. I want to see his rushing stats. And they're not showing it, are they? Oh, maybe they are. Okay, 54 yards. Okay, he's not rushing as much as I thought he was. But anyway, you got the Chargers who have more talent at running back, receiver, and defensive back and kicker, whereas the Browns have the advantage with their O-line. We see Joe Thomas, Rodney Hudson, Garcia, Sean Andrews, and Bakhtiari. Great O-line there for the Browns. They also have the D-line advantage with Copels, Raji, Hicks, and Hughes. You see a draw there at linebacker, and then they have the punter. We see Rashard Higgins and Pinkins out, and then Carruthers out for the Chargers. Then we got the Bucks versus the 49ers. You've got the 19th ranked team versus the 24th. Offense to the Bucks, defense to the Niners. Draw at quarterback, even though I would probably take Winston at this point over Cousins. You got McFadden over Murray. You've got the wide receiving core going for the 49ers. Offensive line going for the Bucks. You've got the D-line, linebacker, and defensive backs all going for the 49ers over the Bucks. We can see the talented players there. We see Johnson, their center, is out, but they have McManus Seta is better than Manus apparently, even though they're one overall point away from each other. And then this is Donnie Jones over Seifried. Then you got the Panthers versus the Bears, two 2-0 teams. We got the 4th ranked team versus the 9th. Offense goes to the Panthers and defense goes to the Bears. Panthers used to be one of the top defenses in the league, but we see the advantages of Flacco over Wentz. Hill and Michael versus Ingram and LaShore. Then we have receivers going to the Panthers with Hilton, and this is Torrey Smith, Niles Paul, Beckham over the Bears receivers. Offensive line goes to the Bears. We see the defensive line going to the Bears. Linebackers, defensive backs going to the Panthers, and then kicker and punter. We see Carew, I think he's a rookie this year, is injured there for the Bears. Then we got the Saints taking on the Bengals. So 2-0 Saints with Blaine Gabbert. He has the advantage over Carr. We see the 5th ranked team versus the 13th. Running back is a draw. And then we have the receiving core going to the Bengals. Even though they have Watkins, Paul Richardson, Mariani, they got Tate, Hardy, and Strong. And then Orson Charles. And then offensive line is the favor to the Saints. Linebackers and defensive back, also Saints with the punter, Dustin Colquitt, or Britton Colquitt. And then the Bengals have the defensive line with Clowney, Morgan, Gerald McCoy. They had a great defensive line. And they also have the kicker in Nick Folk. Then an NFC East battle between the 2-0 Cowboys versus the 0-2 Giants. They expect the Cowboys to have a 13-point spread over the Giants. And yeah, everything favors the Giants. Or the Cowboys, excuse me. So they have the better quarterback. They have the better receiving core, better O-line, better D-line, better linebackers, better defensive backs, better punter. They got Janikowski, the better kicker, and they have a draw there at running back because Ryan Matthews is very good. Peterson is getting old. He's, 31 years old, running back with, we got James White. But Dallas Cowboys probably should come in there and clean them up. And then we got the NFC North battle between the Vikings and the Packers. Advantages to the Vikings. They got the better offense. Defense is a draw, but the 10th ranked team versus the 23rd. We got RG3 over Rivers. We have a tie there for running back between Gordon and Martin. We see wide receivers going to the Vikings with Gronk, Brandon Cooks, Adam Thielen, Shepard over Diggs, Holmes, and Curley because Holmes is becoming an old man too, 32-year-old receiver. Jordan Cameron has been a pretty solid receiver. I think he's a superstar now, was X Factor. Then we got the O-line going to the Vikings. We have D-line, linebackers going to Packers, defensive backs favored to the Vikings, kicker to the Vikings, and punter to the Packers. Onyemata and Flowers out for the Packers. Pamphili, Thornton, and Tiamu out for the Vikings. Then we got ourselves the Chiefs versus the Raiders. We got the 18th versus the 30th ranked team. 1-1 versus 0-2. Tie for offense. Quarterback, it should be favored to Ryan, but they're saying is they're neck and neck here for whatever reason. They got favors to the Chiefs for a running back, wide receiver, D-line, linebacker, and defensive backs. And then you've got the offensive line favored to the Raiders. Kicker, punter also with the Chiefs. No injuries to note for that AFC West matchup. Then we got the Steelers versus Falcons, 1-1 versus 0-2. Steelers had an 8.5 swing in their favor on the odds. Offense goes to the Steelers by 1 overall point, and the defense is tied, 15th versus 28th team. You've got Big Ben versus Garoppolo, and I guess they're saying they're even. You got running backs with Le'Veon Bell versus Todd Gurley and Jordan Howard. And actually, Howard is actually rushing better this year than Gurley on 13 attempts. Then you got wide receiving core going to Pittsburgh over the Falcons. Offensive line goes to the Falcons, and Pittsburgh's got to really fix that O-line. And then we've got D-line here going to the Steelers. You see Van Noy, J.J. Watt, Floyd, Doomerville. Definitely a superior defensive line. Linebackers going to the Falcons. We got the DBs going to Pittsburgh with Josh Norman. I think this is David Jones. Chris Houston. Yeah, Chris Houston. And then you've got the kicker and punter going to Pittsburgh's favor. And they're without Trey Mason, Frazier, and Bohm. And you got the Seahawks versus the Cardinals. So offense advantage to the Seahawks, defense advantage to the Cardinals. Seahawks are 0-2 when they have so much talent. As you can see, Stafford, Lynch, Demaryius Thomas, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans. I don't know how much more I can stack this team. You got the offensive line advantage. You've got the linebacker advantage, the DB advantage. We see that the Daquan Bowers, I think it was Jake Ryan, who somehow became a 91 overall. It's good for him, I guess. Marcel Darius, is that Daquan Jones? Datone Jones, and we've got Navarro Bowman. So it's a very strong D-line there for the Cardinals. We'll see how they do against their rival. And then they also have Gostkowski and Koch. Then we got Quandro, left tackle, who's out. So they're going with Jordan Devy, the left tackle. So that's going to be a risk there. We'll see if Griffin and Hunter are able to take advantage of that. And then the last game this week is the Jaguars versus the Houston Texans. There we go. And so 1-1 Jaguars versus the Texans. We see Osweiler getting the edge over Vic, young quarterback versus an old mobile quarterback. But offense, defense are favored to the Jaguars. The wide receiver, O-line, D-line, linebacker, DBs, kicker, all favor the Jaguars. There's a tie there between Goodson and Tevin Coleman versus CJ Spiller and Jameson. And then they have the punter with Misthay. And the Texans are over there with Thomas, Ryans, and Fleming out with injury. So there you go. That is the Week 3 matchup. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on who you think is going to win each of these games. Feel free to comment, and we'll see what happens in the Week 3 recap. So thanks for watching. Leave a like, leave a comment of your predictions for Week 3.